Shalom, on the staff Swords Buggy and all praise to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Kalkadash. Double honors to the Apostle Great Most and honors to you brothers doing the work of the Most High in truth and in sincerity. Yahweh's the real name of whom the world inwardly calls God, Jehovah, Yahweh. His real name is Yahweh. His son's true name is Yahweh Shai. And when we pray Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, meaning in, her meaning that, and Sham, meaning names Yahweh in the name of Yahweh Shai. Real quick, I was just watching the elder Yeshua, but one of the things he's, in a recent video he said, in reference to people that fell out, because he was talking about, different controversies, that have come in this truth, right? In basically, as the apostles used the term, right, like the nastiness of the scriptures, right? You had certain people that got offended about different topics, the posh being one of them, being one of the major ones, let's put it like that, right? And that basically caused a whole load of people to to fall off, right? But one of the points that the elder said was like they were just looking for a reason. One of the things as well that when he said made that statement, that I kind of thought about was, that's kind of like what women do, right? You hear the statement of like how women will be, a guy won't realize that his woman's left, right? He's still thinking, oh, my babe, or whatever, what have you. But in her heart, she's already left, right? And then he doesn't realize that the reason why they're arguing over nothing is that she's preparing an exit, right? And that's what these guys are doing, right? So I spoke on the on the offenses, right? This is Matthew 11:6. It says, and blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. Okay, and people got offended, right? Just as as we come to the closing credits of of this kingdom, people are gonna be offended. They ain't gonna keep company with us, right? Whether that be your job, your woman, whatever, right? This is just the the nature of the game, right? That's part of the temptation, right? Which we can grab that real quick, right? This is Sirach 2, right, from the top. Says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble, right? And that's where we're coming up to. We're coming up unto the time of Jacob's trouble, right? Where our faith, right, is going to be totally and utterly tested, right? It says Hebrews 11:6. Right, it says, but without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to the Most High must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Okay, because even staying with this analogy of women, right? You get on the other hand, you get other women who will be told, oh, your husband's like this, your husband's like that, right? And then they basically stay by. Right, and that's basically what we've got to be like. We can't run, right? We can't get offended, by our association with this truth, okay? Which ultimately, if we be of the elect, we ain't gonna be offended, right? No matter how low, right? We may get, okay. The thing is, the elect, right? The Lord's gonna make a way for them, okay. So yes, that's what I said. That idea of ultimately, that's kind of thing that women do. They're just waiting for an excuse to leave, but deep down their heart is no longer in it, right? And we can't take that as an example, right? It says 1 John 2:19. They went out from us, right, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us, and that's it. Right, so when a guy falls out, guess what? Right, he just wasn't a part of the flock. Right, in fact, what did Yahushua say? Right, this is right. This is about, isn't it? No, it's like one sec. Let me do this. Go for it, my other screen. Slovakia. Yeah, that's what's up. Alright, fair enough. Right, this is John 10, right, and 28, right? So, and we also got a precept here, precept in Romans 8 as well, right? But yeah, in fact, let me read into it, right? This is John 10. I'm going to start from 25. Yahusha answered them, I told you, and you believe not, right? The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness of me, right? But ye believe not, right? Because you're not of my sheep, as I said unto you, right? It says, my sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand, right? My Father, which gave them me, is greater than all, and no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. Okay, basically saying that it's the Lord, that it's Yahweh that basically picked us, and we can read that in we can grab that as well. This is Ephesians 1 from 4. Right, it says, according as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love, having predestinated us unto the adoption of children by Yahweh Mashiach to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. So basically, he was like, I like him, so that's my guy, right? And hey, that's just what it is. That's why, it's just Yahweh said in Matthew 13 about being blessed. Right? Because at the end of the day, it's just like, imagine it, just from the foundation of the earth, the Most High just, if we be of the elect, just chose us, and not by election, having done neither good or evil, right? The Lord was just like, yeah, I like this spirit, okay, because it was just the good pleasure of his will, okay. So that's it. So what we just read, what was the point that we were just at, right? So let me start that again. It says, my Father which gave them me is greater than all, and no man's able to pluck them out of my hand yet. So I wanted as well to get Romans 8, right, and from 35. It says, who shall separate us from the love of Yahweh Shai? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Right? So basically, the elect, they're gonna stand firm, right, in the time to come. They're not gonna find a reason, right? And the one of the precepts that the elder read, right, was in John 6:60, right? So let me read this, and this is the spirit he was reading when he basically made the point, right, about they basically the people that left, the disciples that left, right, they left because ultimately they were looking for a reason, right, consciously or subconsciously. Okay, same once again, same with the example of a woman, right? There'll be times like she's already made that decision. It's like, look, man, I'm really trying to be with this guy, right? Whether it's because she feels like she's found someone better or whatever, right? And then at that point, they were just waiting for a reason, right? You sneeze too loud. I hate the way you breathe. Right, it's a demonic ass existence, man. It's like, right. So it says John 6:60. It says, many therefore of his disciples, when they heard this, said, this is an hard saying, who can hear it? When Yahushua knew in himself that his disciples murmured at it, he said unto them, he said unto them, doth this offend you? What if ye shall see the Son of Man ascend up where he was before? It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. But there are some of you that believe not. For Yahushua knew from the beginning who they were that believed not, and who should betray them, right? And he said, therefore I said unto you that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him by the Father. Right, it says from that time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. Right, so these are the people that basically had been waiting, kind of looking for an excuse already. Right, it says then said Yahushua unto the 12, will ye also go away? Then Simon Peter answered him, Lord, to whom shall we go? Thou hast the words of eternal life. Right, and you can use modern lingo and say, where we gonna go, right? And that's it for the elect. It's like, where we gonna go, right? Lord's will be of that number, okay, right? Because the elect, right? There's an understanding that tribulation must come, and that's why the scriptures talk about knowledge and wisdom. Isaiah 33:6, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thine times, because we're expecting these things. what he is about to bring, the AI, using AI, because you know what, dude, spirit. As soon as I started seeing the early phase of AI video, I was like, yeah, they're gonna make us look mad, all right? And really, Arkham have to get their minds prepared for that, right? Just your face just like plastered because of something that didn't even happen, right? Or worse yet, maybe E basically accusing one of the Archeum, right, for let's say like for instance, you get the account in Second Maccabees 6, right? Esau no longer needs to physically go out and make you eat pork, right? The old man Eliezer, they were like, yeah, man, just pretend like you're eating pork. Now Esau could just make a video of you eating pork, right? That's why the scriptures speak about work out thine own salvation with fear and trembling, right? So that's just certainly something that we all as as men have to really start preparing our minds for, because it will come. Okay, how do we know? Because it's been prophesied, right? So yeah, let's get just back on this. Read a few more precepts and close it out. Right, this is First John 2:19, and they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not at all of us. Okay. This is Matthew 13 from 18. Right, hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside, right? But he that received the seed in the stony place, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receive it. Yet he hath yet he yet Slakia, yet hath he no root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth of the word, by and by he is offended. Right, so the precept says, "In my mouth it was sweet as honey, but in my belly it was bitter." Right, for some that bitterness is too much, right? And really, once again, there was this idea of, they yeah, it was just like, that's what one friends, one of the things that apostle says, like, know what you're involved in, right? It says, verse 22, it says, he also that received seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, right? And the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful, right? That's that spirit of, man, if I wasn't in the truth, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have been rich, I could have been doing X, Y, Z. Okay. But no, it's understanding that ultimately the elect go and get, more, right? The visionaries, okay? Something that Apostle Gabar speaks on. That's like, I'm tired as hell. Right, it's Proverbs 29:18 says, when there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. Right? So where there's no vision, no view of the things that are to come. Right? I always give the example of, one of my old bosses, right? He used to treat his woman like all the way down in the pecking order in terms of priorities, right? But because she could see what he was building, right, and had started to get some of the joys off of what he was building, right, she was able to, like, maintain through that, because she was like, well, I just got to go through this, and then I'm going to live like a princess, right? Whereas, for instance, our women, the women that we deal with, they can't see what it is that we're building. What we're building is spiritual. It's not carnal. They can't see it. Yeah, every now and then the Lord will have it whereby they may, with you, right, experience a spiritual thing, right? You may tell them, yo, babe, X, Y, Z, right? And then they see it, right, happen, and they're like, oh, snap, okay, right? But that's something that has, they have to see, right, these things, right? But we mustn't be in that vein, right? We must, have the faith, right, and believe and see this kingdom going down, okay? And not only that, see the deliverance, right, that that Lords will be of the elect will obtain, right? We want to be verse 23. It says, Matthew 13:23, but he that receiveth seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, right, which also beareth fruit and bringeth forth, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Okay. This is 2 Timothy 4:10, right? It says, for Demas, right, hath forsaken me, having loved this present world, and is discipled unto Thessalonica, right? Crescens to Galatia, Titus unto Dalmatia, right? And in 1 Timothy 4:1, now the Spirit, it's like I got a sneeze coming. It says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, right? Right, because they ultimately, as we read, right, in 1 John 2:19, right, they were ultimately not of us, right? So I just wanted to touch on that real quick, right? Like I said, it was, when the elder kind of mentioned that, the first thing that came to mind immediately was just like, right, that's kind of like, what these women do, right? That phrase, right? They were looking for a way out. Okay. So yeah, those were those edifying. Till next time we say shalom.